Once upon a time, long, long ago, in a quiet corner of the world where the woods were thick and the stars shone bright through gaps in the leaves, there stood a tall, ancient oak tree. Its branches stretched high into the sky, and its roots dug deep into the soft earth. This oak tree was home to a very old owl, with feathers as soft as smoke and eyes as round and golden as the harvest moon. This owl was not just any owl. He was thoughtful, calm, and wise in ways that few could understand. Every morning, when the sun rose and spilled its golden light across the meadow, the old owl would blink awake, fluff his feathers, and perch on one of the highest branches of the oak. From there, he could see far and wide, and he spent his days simply watching, quietly, carefully, patiently. Sometimes, as he watched, he would see simple, everyday things that seemed small but were full of meaning. One day, for example, he saw a young boy helping an old man carry a heavy bag of grain up the path. The boy's arms trembled from the weight, but his heart was strong, and the kindness in his eyes shone brighter than the morning sun. On another day, he saw a little girl stomping her feet and crossing her arms while fussing at her mother. The girl's face turned red, and her voice rose with impatience. The mother, tired and weary, sighed deeply but still bent down to tie her daughter's shoe with gentle, loving hands. The owl watched. He did not hoot, or interrupt, or judge. He simply kept his golden eyes open and noticed. Day after day, season after season, the wise old owl watched the world from his oak tree. And as time passed, something curious began to happen. The owl found himself speaking less and less. Where once he might have filled the quiet night with soft hoots, he now let silence linger. Where once he might have given advice to the chattering sparrows or the busy squirrels, he now held his tongue. Instead of speaking, he listened. He listened to the rustle of leaves when the wind slipped through them. He listened to the footsteps of children running down the path. He listened to the sighs of tired travelers, to the whispers of mothers comforting their babies, to the laughter of friends sharing stories. And as he listened, his ears became sharper, keener, more attentive than ever before. One day, as he rested quietly, the owl overheard a woman telling her friend a most curious tale. "Did you hear," she whispered, "that a great elephant leapt over a fence? Imagine that. An elephant jumping as if it were a deer." The owl blinked his golden eyes. He had never seen an elephant jump, much less leap over a fence. But he did not correct her. He simply listened. Another day, he overheard a man puffing up his chest and saying proudly, "I am perfect. I have never made a mistake in all my life." The owl tilted his head. Deep inside, he knew that no creature on earth was without flaws. Yet still, he kept quiet, listening. And so it went. Each day, the wise old owl spoke less, and each day, he listened more. And as he listened, he began to understand the world in ways he never had before. He understood not only what people said, but also what they meant, and sometimes even what they tried to hide. The boy who helped the old man was not only strong, but brave. And he carried more than just grain, he carried kindness in his heart. The little girl who fussed at her mother was not only impatient, but also learning, stumbling away toward love and gratitude. The woman who spoke of elephants sleeping was not foolish, but playful, spinning a tale that made her smile. The man who claimed to be perfect was not truly flawless, but lonely, trying to convince himself he was enough. The owl understood all these things simply because he chose to watch, to listen, to hold his words. And soon, the creatures of the forest began to notice. The sparrows would flutter near his branch and ask, "Old owl, what should we do about the storm that's coming?" The squirrels would scamper close and ask, "Old owl, is it better to store our nuts here or there?" Even the deer, with their soft, careful steps, would look up to his branch and ask, "Old owl, how do we keep our families safe?" And the wise old owl, who spoke so little, would sometimes give them just a word, or a nod, or a soft hoot. And somehow, that was enough. For when he did speak, his words carried the weight of all he had seen, all he had heard, all he had come to understand. He had grown wise, not because he was the loudest or the proudest, but because he had learned to see and to hear. And so, the old owl became known throughout the forest as a symbol of wisdom. Creatures traveled far just to sit beneath his oak tree and wait, listening to his silence, hoping for a word or two of guidance, and though he often said nothing, the quiet itself seemed to teach them patience, humility, and understanding. Time passed, as it always does. The boy grew older. The little girl grew gentler. The seasons turned, and still the owl sat upon his branch, calm, steady, and wise. And so, dear child, the story of the wise old owl is a gentle reminder for you, too. If you wish to grow wise, do not rush to speak. Watch carefully, listen deeply, for the world has many stories to tell, if only we are quiet enough to hear them. Close your eyes now, and imagine the great oak tree standing tall under the starlit sky. Imagine the wise old owl, his golden eyes shining softly as he watches over the world. Hear the whisper of the leaves, the hush of the night breeze, and the gentle hoot of the owl reminding you, speak less, listen more, and wisdom will find its way to you. And with that thought, let your eyelids grow heavy, let your breathing grow slow, and drift gently into dreams, where owls keep watch and wisdom waits in the quiet. Moral of the story: true wisdom comes not from speaking much, but from listening well and seeing clearly. Speak less, watch more, listen deeply, and you too will grow wise.